We're waiting to talk. Oh, we do have him on the phone now. We have Gerald Celente. He is the publisher of the Trends Journal. How are you, Gerald?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. We talk to you at least once a year, I'm pretty sure, and you give your predictions. Tell us a little bit about what you had predicted for last year. What came true? What did you miss on?
Oh, we hit them all last year. We had forecast the uprisings that were going to happen, the clamp down on justice, that people would realize that this economy hasn't turned around. We called it wake up call. Virtually everything we forecast last year, we hit out of the park, but this year we have a very rosy scenario to paint.
Okay.
Yeah, our benevolent and wise leaders are going to lead us to prosperity from now on.
I like that. Thank you.
April Fools.
Thank you. That is fantastic.
Yeah. None of us are buying that, Gerald.
Yeah, the best and the brightest are out there, leading the charge.
Right.
So no, it's going to be a tough year.
Again?
We're looking for something along the lines of even possibly a bank holiday this year. What's going on in Europe is real, and it's not going to be solved by dumping more money onto the situation. They're bankrupt. The banks made a lot of bad bets. They're loan sharks, basically, and now they want their money back. They can't get it back, and so they have things called austerity measures, this and that. And then if that doesn't work, they don't tax you enough. I want your ports. I want your water supply. They got all that. They still don't have enough money. They're printing more. And then the United States is in the same situation with $15 trillion in debt. I was doing research back in 2009. I had predicted that forecast that when Obama got elected, the economy was so bad that they might call a bank holiday. Well, people thought I was nuts. Well, because of this MF Global thing that happened, I was caught up in it. I started doing research, and voila, I came up with a videotape of Joe Biden campaigning for John Corzine. He's the guy who was the CEO of MF Global.
Right.
And he was running for re-election of governor in June 2009, so 6 months after Obama got sworn in. And there's Biden, anybody could Google it up, saying that the first thing on top of their agenda when they got sworn in was whether or not to call a bank holiday.
Now,
this is no holiday.
What is a bank holiday, for those who don't know?
What that means is you can't get your money out. And when you do get it out, they'll only give it to you a little bit at a time. And then when you get it out finally, they've devalued it. This is what they do throughout history. You know how they teach us when we're little kids that, they did that under FDR, they call it a bank holiday, it was a run on the banks? That's only part of the story. The real story was that in those days, the dollar was pegged to gold. People were running to the bank to turn their dollars into gold. That was the run. So what happened was they forced you. It's there. It's Federal Emergency Banking Act, 1933.
Mm-hmm.
They made you turn the gold in, all your gold coins, gold bullion, not jewelry, but certificates, for $20.62 an ounce. After they got it all in, they repegged the price of gold to $35 an ounce. That means you sold your stuff at a 40% discount. So this is what they do. They did it in Argentina. They're going to do it again. The whole situation is running out of control. And then when you look at this National Defense Authorization Act that they just passed, where they now allow the military, they repeal the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, the military can now take, in this country, they could take over police actions. And they also have made it possible that anyone that they consider an enemy of the state by executive order, the military could lock you up, throw the key away, and jack you dead. So I believe that they're putting these things into place because just imagine if they call a bank holiday, there'll be chaos like you've never seen before.
Oh, you better believe. We're talking to Gerald Celente, a publisher of the Trends Journal. Now I can't remember myself, but it says 15 years ago, it says you predicted in your book Trends 2000 about the protests to hit Wall Street.
Almost word for word. We repeated it in the latest Trends Journals. A Warner book was a national bestseller. And I predicted it back when I wrote that book because, I'm old enough to remember how life was different in this country. You used to be able to make a comfortable living class wage, and you can't do that anymore. So I was writing back then, I saw where the trends were going, that because of the gap between the rich and the poor, and that because in those days I wrote because 10% controlled most of everything, you were going to start seeing people taking to the streets, and I had them swarming into Wall Street. This Occupy movement is huge. We call it the invasion of the octopi, and that's this creature with tentacles that reaches around the world. You know how the people look around the world for American spirit? Guess what? This little thing that happened in Zuccotti Park, and I've been down there, because I live in New York, and there's a bunch of guys, young people, guys and girls. This thing is caught on globally. There's Occupy movements in over 80 countries in 1,500 cities.
Gerald, what impact is it having, though? What change is being brought about because of the Occupy movement?
It's an awareness, and these things happen in all stages. They don't happen at one time. You see the very weakness of what the critics are complaining about it. It has no head. It has no one purpose. That's its very strength. You look at the WikiLeaks. What WikiLeaks was leaking was huge. But it died because they cut the head of the leader off, Julian Assange. And so now all the power of it's left. What this signifies, you see, all these trends tie together. Again, you asked me what we hit last year. When we talked about all of these, what we would see was Off With Their Heads 2.0. And students of the world unite. Those were some of our trends. So what you see what happened just a year ago now, in Tunisia. Then it happened in Egypt. And then it happened in Bahrain and Yemen. Then it happened in Syria and Libya. And now it's happening throughout Europe, in Kazakhstan. There are runs on the bank as we speak in Lithuania, in Greece, in Italy. People are grabbing Portugal. Everybody that I know, and from all the reports that I'm reading, people are pulling their money out. So what the point is, this is class warfare, and they're not putting the pieces together because they call them names when it happens. It happens in Tunisia. I'll tell you who it is, guys. It's them Islamist fascists. Then it happens over in Egypt. It's the Muslim Brotherhood. It happens over in Bahrain. It's the Shia Iranians that are instigating this. It happens over in Greece with all the people taking to the streets all the time. It's those anarchists, and then it happens over there in the UK this past summer. It's hooligans. And then you hear Newt Gingrich say these people need to take a bath and go get a job. They're putting labels on things that it's class warfare. When the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets.
We're talking to Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. One of the things you talk about here that I would be worried if this comes true is the Big Brother internet. I'm on the internet all day, every day. And
it's happening. It's a takeover. We have no rights. They call this thing the Patriot Act. Ron Paul got the right name, the Unpatriotic Act. And this just keeps expanding. I just talked about Battlefield USA. You got that guy, that Lindsey Graham down there, from that guy from North Carolina, South Carolina. He's telling people, if you get arrested and you're an enemy of the state, you don't have no lawyer. You don't have no trial. Yeah, they just take you away. Yeah, they're everywhere. Big brother and sister are everywhere, all under the guise that they're protecting us. You know that word justice? They're spelling it wrong. It's Justus, just us.
All right.
Have you seen any heads roll on Wall Street? Look at this cat, this Corzine, who they can't find $1.2 billion. Could you imagine if it was me or you?
Now, didn't they just indict the head of former head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, didn't they?
They served them with, I think, what is called a Wells notice.
Okay.
Yeah. But look at this Corzine walking free.
Well,
I mean, come on. If that was a broker in your hometown that went into client segregated funds, boy, you see those guys with those SWAT team outfits on, those guns blaring,
Yeah.
Yeah, but not the fat cats.
All right, tell us something, Gerald. Tell us something positive.
There's nothing on here that's positive.
Tell us something good that's going to happen.
Something good is
all
that
doom and gloom.
and all of this. It's not gloom. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Again, you want to believe that those Republicans, I was watching those debates, man, they're going to save the day. So we're looking at what the facts are. So here's the deal. Go back to the Depression. Look at the photos. Look at how the people dressed. What's going to make it in this climate is if you keep going for the bottom line, you're going to lose. Go for style and quality. It begins with buying local. It begins with raising the bar. And it's across the board. You know, I'm Italian. Olive Garden's not Italian food. For spending a little bit more going to your local person and really getting quality. Quality across the board. This country used to be about style and quality. And we're saying those are the things that are going to win out. Because people are still going to go out. People are still going to buy stuff. But raise the bar. We call it affordable sophistication. If you're going to open up a hot dog stand or a hamburger joint, get local hot dogs made from your local butcher like we have here in Kingston, New York. And the place is packed because it has a unique taste. This is a time to break away from the crowd. Listen to the music of the 30s. Swing. The hottest, happiest music this country had ever known at a time we're in a Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you take a page from the past. It's a renaissance, a rebirth, a rediscovering what's great. You look at those websites, it's like called Derelict Detroit or something, and you look at Detroit going into the ground, and you look at the buildings that are being, that are destroyed going into dust. These beautiful, ornate buildings when craftsmanship counted.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're saying is to bring it back to where we want it to be, you have to go back and bring that forward with a 21st century twist.
Yeah, that's more expensive, though.
Yes,
to build those buildings that are ornate and beautiful, it's almost unaffordable now.
Those buildings are unaffordable now. But what we're talking about is affordable sophistication. So rather than spending rather than spending a good amount on something that's not so good, spend a little more for something better. Like, for example, we have farmers markets. I'm sure you guys have them down there, too.
Yeah.
I support these things all the time. You get a higher quality. Everyday low prices means everyday low quality, means everyday low-paying jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so this used to be the country of high quality, high-paying jobs. Less is more. We're the only country in the world where people have so much crap they got to store it off-site.
All right. Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, director of the Trends Research Institute, and we'll touch base with you again in a couple of months to see how the year is going and how you think it's going to end.
Okay, guys. All the best.
All right. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays.